Good day and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Thanks for joining me here today. Yesterday, we promised to make sense out of how it is that for many of us, we self-medicate through what we described as unhealthy coping mechanisms. These unhealthy coping mechanisms end up enslaving us. In other words, we get, and unfortunately often stay, quite addicted. I want you to remember that we've talked about this in terms of the etymology or the root understanding of the word addiction. It actually derives from the Latin root word addictus, which simply means slave. So we're talking about unhealthy coping mechanisms that literally keep us enslaved. Someone just asked me this week in a local treatment center group that I lead, he asked me, Dr. Bob, if I do something a lot, doesn't that make it an addiction? I answered immediately because I thought a lot about this question, and I said, no, it doesn't. In fact, a frequent or even compulsive behavior only qualifies as an addiction when it's unhealthy or problematic. So you might ask, well, what do I mean by unhealthy or problematic? In a nutshell, what I mean is this. If I engage in any action pattern, that's a pattern of behavior, whether with mood-altering drugs or any other behavior, which most of these behaviors that we engage in themselves are mood-altering. They make us feel better. If I engage in any action pattern which negatively impacts my health, my relationships, or my capacity to contribute, excuse me, and by contribute I mean parenting, schooling, work, if any one of these three areas is impacted negatively, then I've moved into the unhealthy zone. So for today, what I'd like you to do is list any unhealthy coping mechanisms that you may currently be experiencing. By coping, I mean you use these behaviors to feel better, to cope, to manage, and they end up hurting you or others. This gives us a good place to start because we're going to next be diving much more deeply into what it is that we are self-medicating. Why is it that we self-medicate? How is it that we cope by these unhealthy coping mechanisms? How is it that we try to manage our lives by these various addictive behaviors, these patterns of action and attitude, which truly do enslave us. And I think you'll agree with me. Once you get locked into one of these behavior patterns that's self-destructive, you can feel compelled to do something, and it's being self-destructive doesn't stop you from engaging in it. So give some thought to that. In the meantime, I want to thank you again for joining me here today at the Vitality Project. I hope that you'll stay safe, be well, and come back and join me again tomorrow.